I'm doing great. How are you?
Hi. You rolling?
I'm ready.
I'm Lauren Keeling, and over the past few weeks, I've been traveling across the country asking a question that's hard to ignore. Why are so many students struggling to read? And what can we do about it? Our journey began in the Pendergast Elementary School District, where educators are 3 years into a knowledge-building curriculum grounded in research and have fully embraced the challenge of change.
Boy, we're getting high-quality questions.
Next, I headed to the School District of Philadelphia to spend time with district leaders and 600 educators taking their first steps into a new approach.
We are fired up and we are ready to go.
In this episode, I return to Arizona to see how years of dedication and hard work come together and what that means for students learning to read.
I see growth every year in my students.
And talk to a leading voice in the movement for change and how we teach reading comprehension.
Okay, let me see if I can start my video now. Yeah, there I am. Okay. My name is Natalie Wexler. I am an education writer. I have written a book called The Knowledge Gap, The Hidden Cause of America's Broken Education System and How to Fix It. And I have actually a new book coming out in January called Beyond the Science of Reading, Connecting Literacy Instruction to the Science of Learning. I started writing about education because it just seemed incredibly important to me, and particularly how we can raise education outcomes for all kids, but also narrow the gap essentially between kids at the upper and lower ends of the socioeconomic spectrum.
I go back to the research from Natalie Wexler and kind of building background. Some of her research really helped us really understand, looking at schools that were closing that achievement gap. And one of the biggest things is the ability to really read a book from cover to cover.
How did you come to identify the knowledge gap as something that was critical to education?
Putting together what cognitive scientists have learned about reading and learning in general with what is going on in classrooms was really crucial. And it seemed to me there was this sort of missing piece that could make teachers' jobs easier and students' jobs of learning easier as well. The term science of reading has often come to be defined as just more phonics, and it's way more complicated than that. There's a lot of scientific evidence related to reading and reading comprehension that should be included in the term science of reading, but often kind of gets left out. And there are ways in which the standard approach to teaching reading comprehension also conflicts fairly dramatically with what science tells us about how that process works.
On returning to Pendergast, I wanted to investigate the role of background knowledge and how it impacts student engagement and reading outcomes. So, I spoke with second grade teacher, Mrs. Barrett.
We did Basil. We taught Basil. Monday we did this. Tuesday we did this. Wednesday we did this. Whereas now with this curriculum, it's not on a 5-day schedule. It's inclusive. It flows from topic to topic. It's seamless. The kids enjoy it, and it just makes learning a lot more fun.
There's lots of undisputed evidence that having knowledge of the topic you're reading about is really helpful to comprehension. And beyond that, there's well-accepted evidence that the more general knowledge and vocabulary you have, and particularly more academic kinds of knowledge and vocabulary, the easier it is for you to understand just about anything you try to read. So you become a better general reader with more of that general knowledge.
So I want you guys to go back, look at the poem. Okay, and then we're going to share those out. We're going to talk about it. When we're doing our teaching, like the first unit is building that background knowledge, but then the modules build on each other. And so a lot of times my kids are taking ownership and they're taking leadership, and I can step away and I can let them teach sometimes.
You just get to facilitate. That's how they're going to learn. If they're interested in what's happening, they're going to start participating, and their level of knowledge is going to grow.
There is evidence showing that fiction helps develop empathy, that transportation into this other world, into other people's shoes. And I think only novels can really supply that experience.
One year, my kids worked on collecting items for the Phoenix Children's Hospital. And this year, they have identified our lost and found as a huge problem on our campus. It was kind of overflowing, literal bags of clothes. And so they are working to get that all organized, get it out to the students so they can start reclaiming their items. We have a whole list of videos and informational text that teaches them about other students and kids that have made a difference in their community. And their end result is they create a PSA about the results that they had.
Do they get excited about this? Do they love this?
Oh, they're very excited about it. They love every day asking, like, can I go work on the lost and found? I finished my work, can I go work on lost and found? And so they're really involved in it.
Do you feel like the children are growing in that space?
Absolutely. Yeah, they're growing with their confidence. They're growing with their communication from peer to peer and from peer to teacher. You know, the kids just love to dive in. They know in the morning that we're doing our center rotations, and they just have become very independent and excited to learn.
So, I don't know what the centers are. Can you explain the centers to me?
First, we put up the timer maybe for 15 or 20 minutes, and then we start our centers.
Small group is with me at the table. Writing is on the table back there, so if you guys want to grab it.
There's a writing one, there's a reading, there's goldfish, there's Miss Barrett. We have computers.
Those computers open.
Wherever our names are, we do that center. Like if we have writing, we just bring our book with us and we write in it. We write about butterflies sometimes and the weekend. When the timer goes off, we switch centers and it keeps going until it's lunchtime.
Kids get it. I mean, I've been in classrooms where they don't want the teacher to stop reading. They still have things to say when it's time for discussion to end. There's this excitement in the air, but the way we measure these things often is with standardized tests. The evidence we have shows that, yes, eventually it will result in better scores on standardized reading comprehension tests, but the evidence shows that can take 3 years or more.
They're finally starting to roll up to me from having it in previous grades. So it makes it easier for me as a 7th grade teacher that they already know many of the protocols that we use. So with the PSA, do we need to understand our audience? Okay, so let's put that on our list as well. I'm starting to see my students bring in ideas and things that they've learned in other classes to solidify their statements. And that is a neat thing. Many of them have picked up decoding skills. Their vocabulary has expanded. They're able to read with better flow. So all of the pieces seem to come together at the end of the school year. It's been kind of funny because one of my students wanted an extra recess or something. He made me literally a 10-slide PowerPoint with his arguments stated, what he wanted, why he wanted, and why he felt he could get it. So we kind of did a little negotiating, and it worked. So it was fun. He got an extra recess. And so it was really fun. And that's the beauty of it, is when they start applying those skills that I have taught them.
Increases cancer rates, which is a major problem that we still face.
Let's talk a little bit about just growth of students in general. If you were to point to some specific data or some evidence when your district comes to you and says, prove to me that this is working, how would you do that?
Consistently, since I've been using the curriculum, I've had some of the highest scores in the state reading assessment. My grade level last year within our own school, we had the highest percentage of students passing in all of the grade levels that took it.
67% of our kindergarten students showed what was called aggressive growth in their reading. And
at the winter benchmark.
At the winter benchmark.
Right. And we're anticipating it being higher here at our spring benchmark.
So when we take district pre-test, district post-test from the previous year in state testing to the current year in state testing, I see growth every year in my students.
Teachers see what's happening in their classrooms. They know things are changing, but it is, it's harder to get that quantitative data. Based on what we know about what cognitive science tells us about how important knowledge is to comprehension. We have lots of evidence of that. We don't need to wait for more experimental evidence in order to make this kind of switch.
As I wrapped up my visit to Pendergast, I reflect on my own path as a reader and what it could mean if every student had access to instruction rooted in what we now know works best. Books really gave me the opportunity to kind of open up my imagination and think big and learn big. That's what teachers do today for our children when they have these beautiful curriculum, these diverse texts and authentic stories and opportunities for children to dig in.
This was no way to find.
Our teachers are creating that love of learning for our children. They're opening up their hearts and their minds, and they're letting them learn to love words.
They were standing on the deck of the ship.
Change is scary, and that's okay.
This is the first year that I've actually felt successful in implementing that.
But at its core, the science of reading is a simple idea. Follow the research, and you'll see the results.
That's when you know students are really learning.
It takes time, and it definitely takes heart.
Have you been around seventh graders?
But I've seen that educators are up for the challenge.
I'm very passionate about it.
Especially when we know the difference it'll make to students' lives.
That's why we teach.
The owl was in equal, so like a picture. Or the sometimes have sandwiches. I just saw 2 petticoats and a corset. Violet ducked under all these and sat down on the other bed. The room was well...